So there's nothing I can do to let you down. It doesn't take a trophy to make you proud. I'll never be more loved than I am right now. Going through a storm, but I won't go down. I hear your voice carried in the rhythm of the wind.
can't be more loved than we are right now.
Oh, the perfect Son of God in all his innocence, here walking in the dirt with you and me. He knows what living is. He's acquainted with our grief. Man of sorrows and son of suffering. Blood and tears, how can it be? There's a God who weeps, there's a God who bleeds. Oh, praise the one who would reach for me. Hallelujah to the Son of suffering.
Some imagine you are distant and removed, but you chase us down in merciful pursuit. To the sinner you were grace, and the broken you embrace. And in the end, the proof is in your wounds. Oh, in the end,
The proof is in your and blood and tears. How can it be? There's a God who weeps. There's
engaging one in which you will hear from the experts in the field of pest management. Our program this morning, you will hear first from Mr. Willie Ramirez, Commercial Lead, Duwest Caribbean, one of our partners. He will be followed by Olive Downer Walsh, Deputy CEO of Hardware and Lumber Limited. She will be followed by Miss Carla Whitaker, Public Health Inspector in the Manchester Health Department, Environment and Health Unit, who will speak to us about rodent and other nuisance pest challenges in Jamaica. Then we will have Dr. Vincent Wright, Dean for the College of the Natural and Applied Science, Allied Health and Nursing, Northern Caribbean University, who will speak to us on leptospirosis and rodent behavior. He will be followed by Mr. Okeen Leon, Technical Sales Representative, H&L Agro, who will speak to us about pest management solutions. To close out the virtual town hall, we will hear from Ms. Odine Bradshaw, Market and Business Development Manager, H&L Agro, and she will also have a special treat as she will speak to us about the awesome discounts that will be available for you today. I now invite Mr. Willie Ramirez to bring his remarks.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Good morning, everyone. Michelle mentioned I'm Willie Ramirez. I'm the commercial leader of Duwest Caribbean. We are very pleased of being part of this great initiative of H&L Agro. It is a reality that the pandemic has gained basically the whole attention of everyone in the planet at this moment. As a consequence, we are forgetting that before the COVID, we had constant issues to solve. And activity like this one is a great move from H&L to call the attention about the importance of disease carried out by permanent vectors such as rodents, mosquitoes, and others. Once again, it's a true honor for Duwest Caribbean to be part of this initiative, and we continue supporting the Caribbean with our public health solutions. Have a great day and please enjoy the webinar.
Hi, Willie. Can we ask you to start over your presentation and speak a little louder, please? The audience is having some trouble hearing you. Hi, Willie. Can you speak a bit louder for the audience to hear you, please? So I'm going to ask you to start again and speak a bit louder. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Okay, good morning, everyone. I am Willie Ramirez from Duwest Caribbean. I am the commercial leader in the Caribbean, in this beautiful island. I was saying we are very pleased to be part of this great initiative of H&L Agro. And we were saying that it's a reality that the pandemic has gained basically the whole attention of everyone in the planet at this moment. As a consequence, we are forgetting that before COVID, we had constant issues to solve. And this activity, which is a great move from H&L Agro, is to call the attention about the importance of some diseases carried out by permanent vectors such as rodents, mosquitoes, and others. Once again, it's a true honor for Duwest Caribbean to be part of this initiative, and we continue supporting the Caribbean with our public health solutions. Have a good day and enjoy the webinar. If there is any question that we may be helpful, be please free to ask. Have a good day. Thank you, Michelle. So, you guys copy?
Thank you. Thank you, Willie, for your remarks. I will now invite Ms. Kamarla Whitaker, Public Health Inspector in the Manchester Health Department Environmental Health Unit, to speak to us about rodent and other nuisance pest challenges in Jamaica. Ms. Whitaker?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we are.
Okay, thank you. Mentioned before, I'm Kamarla Whitaker, Public Health Inspector from Manchester Health Department. I would like to welcome my colleagues who are also present on this platform. Able to see my screen? Can you indicate if you're able to see my screen, please?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Proceed.
Please go ahead.
Okay, wonderful. So as the I must apologize for any technical difficulty you may experience at this time. Program guide suggests my presentation will be on rodent and other nuisance pests locally. But due to the interest of time, my presentation mainly on rodents. So to begin, a pest or any organ. Alright, so to begin, what is a pest? This is any organism that spreads, cause destruction and or otherwise a nuisance. So some examples of pests: mosquitoes, rodents, and cockroaches. Now, mosquitoes and rodents are all as vectors because they carry or transmit infection from one animal to another. Now, these are two common vectors that are of public health significance in Jamaica. In regards to mosquitoes, there are 7 of mosquitoes in Jamaica, but only 3 species are known vectors. These species are the Aedes, Culex, and Anopheles species. However, only one is a known vector of endemic vector-borne, is the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which we know transmit dengue virus, the Zika, and yellow fever. So let's move on to vector that we will emphasize on, which is the rodent. Now, there are 3 types in Jamaica. One, you have the Ratus, otherwise known as roof rat, Ratus norvegicus, otherwise known as Norway rat, and you have otherwise known as the house rat. Now, how do these species behave? Ratus or the roof rat are excellent climbers. They are poor swimmers to drum. They travel far to identify food, and they are omnivore, prefers plant base. The Norway rats, they are excellent swimmers. They are found in sewage. They burrow, they drag their tail on the ground. And as for the most musculus or the house rat, small, they live in the house, they are very curious, and they feed any and everything they can find in the house. Now, rodents leave signs of their presence. These signs include droppings, rub marks, gnawing, urine, and burrow. Now, the signs left by rodents are an indication of 4 things. Species present, and that is dependent on the type of droppings. Now, the size of the Norway rat is bigger than that of the roof rat, and the dropping size is bigger than that of the house rat. Also, the currency of infestation, so it suggests 24 hours or less, and dry droppings suggest days. Infestation, so large population of droppings, and of course, the location. Why is this so important to us? One, because it is a nuisance under the substance regulations of 1995 and because of disease. So an approach must be taken in rodent control to eliminate the factors that now the factors that contribute to the survival of rodents include food, water, or harborage. The absence of food, water, shelter, or force these animals elsewhere to find these things. The first control is sanitation. This is the reduction and or the removal of and dirt. So once you keep the place clean, the pest will pass through. That is something I always tell my clients. Improving sanitation means eliminating the food, water, and even the shelter from the environment. In garbage will be removed and the appropriate receptacles installed to accumulation of solid waste. Containers that can collect water be removed and open drains that provide them with access to water should be rodent. Also, clutter must be removed from the inside and outside of the room. Old equipment must not be stored in production area or anywhere at all that harborage, and regular cleaning, this is very important, must be done to ensure that is maintained. Proofing is another method. This is basically pest out. This is the exclusion of pests with the use of physical barriers. So expected to screen all external openings. In addition to proofing and sanitation, steps must be taken to eliminate the pest from your premises. Now there are two measures that can be used. You have and non-chemical measures. It is important to note that you should use chemicals. Avoid them as best as possible because chemicals are very poisonous to us as humans if accidentally ingested. Now, trapping is a common type of non-chemical measure. There are two general types, and as the name suggests, I believe they are self-explanatory: live traps and kill traps. Now, here are images of live traps where you see they're basically cages that holds the case, and these are two images of what an example of. Now, trapping is a very good non of reducing the rodent population. Traps, once procured, can very long time and can be used with many different attractants like peanut butter, so like cheese, coconut can be used, and red herring. And of course, these traps can be different locations as the need arise. Poisoning, the last resort, because of course the effect it has on the environment and animals. Now there are different types of poisons. You have which can be used as a single dose. You have chronic poisons which can be single and multiple dose, and you have others like neurotoxins. Differentiate between acute rodenticides and chronic rodenticides. For rodenticides, the onset of death is immediate. This is where the animal dies after consuming a lethal dose. While for chronic rodenticides, onset of death is delayed. The animal dies several days after consuming a dose. Now, these poisons are of course safer than acute where non-target animals are concerned. And these poisons are normally anticoagulants. Now, there are different formulations of baits used: liquid, wax, pellet, and mash. There are other methods to control rodents. You have fumigation, gassing, ultrasound, and also biological agents. And you research these factors at your leisure. Integrated pest management. Now, what is IPM? This is a whole approach that integrates practices for economic control of pests. The major aim of IPM is to suppress the pest population or to decrease the population between the point where it becomes economically detrimental. There are 7 steps in the approach. You have inspection, prevention, identification, analysis, treatment section, monitoring, documentation. The first approach is inspection. If IPM program is dependent on routine inspections. Now this is where you identify potential entry points, food and water sources, harborage zones. The second approach is prevention. Now the preventive action is what I normally say, and I'll repeat it. The first pest is sanitation. So this is where good sanitation and housekeeping comes into. It will eliminate the potential food and water sources. The identification. Now, by identifying the problematic species, pests can be eliminated efficiently. The fourth approach is, now, once the pest is identified, this is where you figure out a pest problem at my facility. The fifth approach is the treatment. Now, it is advised, and I'm repeating myself, that you must use as your first chemical measures. So this is where you would incorporate trapping. However, this method has failed, or if it's deemed inappropriate for the situation, measure may be used. The sixth approach is monitoring. Now, constant monitoring again is important for.
Yes, I'm hearing you, and Donette says she's sending me a Zoom link.
Hello?
Apologies for that. You may continue.
Okay. So constant monitoring for pest activity is very important to determine any changes and tell you how to move forward. And of course, the final approach is document. It's very important to keep account of everything what you see and what you implement, so you can analyze the effectiveness and you will know how to plan for the. Earlier this year, the Environmental Health Vector Control Unit of Bangladesh implemented or participated in a vector control program in the town of Mandeville. Now, over the period of 7 days in March 2021, baiting and assessment was done of 141 premises. After only a week, 21 dead rodents were found, and 1.5 crates of rodenticides were used, and 41 bait stations were this intervention. Also, PVC pipes were used. All the premises we inspected, only 21 premises had their own bait station that we, of course, replenished with rodenticide. So it is important for us as facilitators our own pest control measures to help mitigate against rodent problems. Here are some images that we captured during the intervention. You can see where a vector control officer is working to environment after the program or during the program. We're also seeing an image. There is a burrow in the ground. Hopefully the images are good. Right, so challenges we experience is the failure of commercial entities take responsibility for their health in terms of packaging, storing, and saving their garbage and refuse. The failure of some commercial entities contractual arrangement with the local waste collectorate, which is Southern States, otherwise known as SPM, and the failure of SPM, which is a challenge waste to collect solid waste in a timely manner. And of course, the lack of resources mainly for facilities to implement an effective pest program. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you. If you have any questions, you may ask at this time, and I will ask my colleagues to open their mic so they'll be able to answer too. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kamala Whitaker, for that reminder on the steps involved in the integrated pest management system and how beneficial it is to us economically as we try to suppress the pests. Okay, so we will now invite Dr. Vincent Wright, who will speak to us on leptospirosis and rodent behavior. Dr. Wright?
Hi, good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Dr. Wright. You may go ahead.
Okay. Trying to share the screen. Okay, I'll be talking this morning on leptospirosis and the behavior of rodents. I want to bring you all greetings from Northern Caribbean University and Central
Dr.
Jamaica.
Wright, we'd like to ask you to put your presentation in presentation mode for us to see it properly. Thank you.
Okay. Just give me a second.
Sherry, it's okay now? It's okay now?
Are you seeing now?
Yes, we are able to see it properly now. Thank you.
Okay. I'll be talking about leptospirosis. Leptospirosis is an infectious disease of the blood that is caused by a bacteria known as Leptospira. And this disease has been around in Jamaica for a very long time. In the 70s and 80s, the veterinary division tried to eradicate both leptospirosis and brucella in cattle. In addition to that, they also vaccinated animals with regards to this particular disease in the parish of St. Elizabeth and in Manchester. Now, there are signs and symptoms of a disease that can range. The bacteria that cause leptospirosis are spread through the urine of infected animals, which can get into the water, soil, and can survive for weeks. Now, these are the animals that tend to spread Leptospirosis. You look at one and you will see the cattle, cows, pigs, dogs, and rats. Rats is a notable one, especially in the parish of Manchester, for spreading leptospirosis. Now, the above animals that you have seen there, they excrete leptospira both in the active form, in their urine and via blood. Now, what are some of the symptoms of leptospirosis? Symptom, you look here on your left hand side in this diagram, you have the rat, you have cattle, you have dogs, and so forth. And it can be taken in via food, the mouth. And I may say that right in Manchester here, there was a gentleman quite recently. He was working on a house, and what happened, he prepared his meal, put it on the table, and left it, went away. The rat went there, help him, the rat helped himself or herself. And when the gentleman came back, he ate the food that was left without noting any change or changes. And as a result of that, that gentleman developed leptospirosis and he died 2 weeks after. Now, we need to know that we can also derive leptospirosis from the soil, from water, and from food that is contaminated. Now, what are some of the symptoms? Some of the symptoms include high fever, chills, headache, muscle aches, muscle pain, fatigue, sore throat, abdominal pain, vomiting, diarrhea, jaundice, bleeding in the liver, kidney damage, and meningitis. And this is something that is quite common. Now, if we look at leptospirosis symptom again, we'll see all of these things here caused by the rats. And I should say we ought to be very careful of food, because leptospirosis is still quite common in some of the places. I know of another gentleman that went to his field. He saw some ripe banana on a tree, and rats started to eat some of the banana. He threw away those and he ate the rest. He was among 6 girls, he was the only male. I think that was in Clarendon. And he developed leptospirosis. And he died. He died shortly, right? So looking at all of these are some of the symptoms: rashes, headaches, diarrhea, high fever, abdominal pain, red eye, vomiting, muscle pain, jaundice, cold, and so forth. So these are some of the symptoms that leptospirosis will bring about. Now, the role of rat in leptospirosis, as I stated quite clearly, is quite evident. But dogs as well. Dogs can bring on this disease. Some of the animals, they have the disease, but they do not display certain symptoms. And rats are abundant in urban as well as rural environment. Quite recently, I was in New Kingston, and I was on I think it was on the 12th floor of a building. And when I looked down in the parking lot, I saw some rats that they were having a party. And what happened is that in New Kingston right now, there are a lot of fast food settings, and the waste that is being thrown around the place tend to engage a lot of rats. So the rats will urinate. When they urinate, if it catches food or whatever, then it can create serious problem. Now, what happens, it may also contaminate water. Urine may also get in the eyes of persons. They swallow contaminated food and water. You may also be exposed. You have a cut or a wound. It may also can become contaminated. So farmers who are working in water, where you have a lot of rodents, a lot of rats, you ought to be very careful of this organism, because it can get into if your skin is broken, the organism can get in it, can get in your body via food and so forth. So rats, something we don't play with when it comes on to some of these things. Now, leptospirosis is easy to catch from an infected animal. I should say dogs as well. We have to be careful of some dogs. If they are exposed to leptospirosis, they can pass it on. People catch leptospirosis when they are exposed to the urine and feces of infected animals. The infection generally enters through cuts and cracks in the skin, through bare hands or feet, or through mucous membranes of the eyes, nose, or mouth. It can also enter the body by eating food that is contaminated with urine. I spoke about that already. I know of another gentleman, he cooked his food, left it on the table. When he came back, rat went in it, he never know, and he ate it. He became very ill. He went into intensive care at the University of the West Indies. Fortunately for him, he survived. Leptospirosis is difficult to eliminate. Therefore, we should minimize as best as possible our option in managing the risk. The hazard will still exist, but exposure is minimized through appropriate control, and we should try to eliminate, isolate, and minimize such organism. Now, elimination involves removing the hazard from the farm area. This is quite common in some areas. In some closed areas, you have situation where pests will live. We create situation where these pests will live, especially rats. And leptospirosis can be eliminated through vaccination if you vaccinate the animal, or eliminate the rats. And I should tell you that when you see one rat or mouse, there is 25 others out there. One represents 25. When you see one, you have 25 others out there. Leptospirosis is very difficult to eliminate in an open environment. Other management methods should be such as isolation. Now, how do we prevent leptospirosis? We should isolate, involve separating the hazard of hazardous work from employee. You have people working on your farm or in an area that is infested with rats, you should try to eliminate all of those things, zinc and all of those things that will provide an habitat for them. You ought to try to eliminate them as best as possible. You should isolate itself, and you have to be very practical when it comes on to leptospirosis. You may also put risk management, a risk management plan in place with rodents and wildlife. And you should also isolate and minimize these organisms, these animals, these rats in areas. How do we prevent leptospirosis or minimize it? We should minimize it, the probability, the best option for managing the risk of leptospirosis. The risk will still exist, but exposure is minimized through appropriate control like awareness, hygiene, monitoring procedure, and vaccination. I, I think I told you earlier on that the veterinary division at one time used to vaccinate animals in St. Elizabeth and Manchester in the 70s and 80s. And most of the animals that were slaughtered at the time, bloods were collected, taken to the veterinary division, whereby they would determine whether the animal slaughter had leptospirosis. However, if the meat was properly cooked, then there would be no problem in contracting the disease. We should ensure that employees or awareness, we should always be aware of our environment, our surrounding, and we should ensure that employees are aware of the cause and symptom of leptospirosis and ways of reducing the risk. For example, we should place posters in the work area. And I think H&L, Agro, you are doing a wonderful job in sensitizing the public where some of these things are concerned. Leptospirosis is raging, and it can be very dangerous, right? We should also look at things like gloves that we can use, our water, drinking water, right? And all of these things that we use. We should also look at, ensure if we have fever, chill, headache, or muscle pain, we should get the assistance of a doctor so that they can determine what is the problem. Because the longer you stay, the more acute such disease will get, and it will create problem. Hygiene also plays a very important part in the whole aspect by washing hands regular, using water, soap, and disinfectant. We should use disposable towels. Don't scrub hands harshly, as it may cause a break in the skin and the organism can enter the body. Always wash your hands after using the toilets or handling animals, and before eating, drinking, smoking, or taking a break. Wash your face if you have facial hair. Do not touch your eyes, nose, or mouth before washing your hands. Cover cuts, scratches, blisters, and skin that break with waterproof covering. These are some of the things that will give you. So now, personal protective equipment, again, is very important. I'm quite sure that Agro have a number of these in stock for their farmers or their customers, so that they can protect themselves from contaminated area, from urine of animals, water, fluid, and all of these things to prevent the mucus, prevent the eyes, the mouth from substance getting into their body. You should also use things like goggles, face shields that protect the eyes and nose and mouth, milking sleeve for cattle, and clean aprons in milking shed, plastic aprons, gloves when assisting with parturition of animals, when animals are giving birth, on handling after birth. Because, as I said earlier on, in the case of cattle, you also tend to have leptospirosis. Solid and sealed footwear should also be present. Your water boot, your gloves, and all of these are very important in protecting. So these are just some of the personal protective gears. If you go to Agro, they can, I'm quite sure, point out some of these things to you. Rats or rodent on farm plays a very important role in the whole process. And I just spend a brief moment talking about rodents' behavior on farm. Rats and mice have long been a problem on farms where food and nesting sites are plentiful. They are capable of contaminating feed and water supplies, and they help to spread disease from contaminated to uncontaminated areas and from animal to animal. There are usually approximately 25 rats, as I said, or mice for every 1 that you have seen. They carry 45 diseases, some of which are rotavirus, pulmonary syndrome, leptospirosis, salmonella, and rat bites, fever, and so forth. All of these plays a very important. And I should just tell you that what is happening now in this pandemic, rat created a more serious pandemic in the world. In 1345 to 1352, rat destroy the bubonic plague, destroy half the world's population. So we ought to be very careful. I'm not saying that leptospirosis will do this, but I'm just telling you that rat is a very dangerous creature. They cause physical damage to the structure. So we ought to be very careful where this is concerned. Especially in the farmers, when you have things like corn and you have rat cutting it. Over in I am from Portland, and they have a lot of coffee and cocoa, chocolate. And what happened is that the rats love to damage the chocolate, the cocoa pods. And you used to have children going to pick up the what we call the rat cut chocolate, and they would dry them and sell them Christmas time for their Christmas money. So now these can be very dangerous, because the rats that do the damage, they may very well be contaminated with the disease. And I want to point out that the rat is so dangerous that the rat teeth never stop growing. And to keep them from getting too long, they must chew or grind them off. So they keep on chewing and grinding them off. So that so the chewing can cause damage to wood, plastic, concrete used in farming operation. Rodent cause financial loss due to crop damage and farm facilities. So we have to be very careful where that is concerned. Management practice of rodent. Remove all feed bags or anything that rodent can hide under. Block off all entrance into the walls and destroy all nesting materials. Remove food and eliminate water sources such as leaky taps, open water trough, and open drain. Reduce feed spillage and dispose of any dead animal carcasses. Keep feed in metal, upper, or cover can. Control existing rodent population. You can probably use cats, predator cats, glue board, baits. I'm quite sure that Agro has a number of these facilities to help to take care of them. And ladies and gentlemen, I could continue, but I'm going to stop here at this point. I want to thank you very much for listening, and I hope you have gotten something from what I have said. Thank you very much.
Thank you too, Dr. Wright. Boy, I heard a lot coming out, and I even saw where persons in the chat were just as flabbergasted as I was to find out that you can also get leptospirosis from other animals, including dogs. And then what shocked us even more was the 1 to 25 that you mentioned, you know. So we seen one running by our foot and thinking, oh yes, we caught him, only to know there are 25 others. Boy, that really was an eye-opening presentation, and we want to thank you for that. Thank you. I now invite Mrs. Olive Downer Walsh, Deputy Chief Executive Officer for Hardware and Lumber, to bring her remarks.
Presenters, special invited guests are all on the virtual platforms. Viewers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen all, very good morning to you. Rats have infested sections of Spanish Town. Rats run amok at Falmouth Market. Rats will take us over. Food court at rat-infested Falmouth Market ordered close. These are just some of our local news media headlines since the start of the year, highlighting of the current or some might deem perennial rodent management challenges being experienced across the island. We are still battling the COVID pandemic along with this reality. Needless to say, rats are everybody's problem, and we all have a role to play in addressing this problem. At home, at school, at restaurants, at supermarkets, in our farms, and the list go on. As Jamaica's leading provider of agricultural inputs and related products, H&L Agro continues our support towards nation building through best-in-class education, training opportunities, and a diverse suite of products. A big part of this support is creating a space such as this session today to not only shed some light on these and other challenges, but also to do our part in putting forward some of these solutions to the various challenges. As you're aware, today's session focuses on rodent management and other nuisance pests. And we are very happy that today we have Ms. Kamarla Whitaker, the Public Health Inspector from Manchester Health Department's Environmental Health Unit, who presented on rodent and other nuisance pest challenges in Jamaica. Dr. Vincent Wright, the Dean for the College of Natural and Applied Science, Allied Health and Nursing at the Northern Caribbean University, who provided insights on research surrounding leptospirosis and rodent behavior. And you will be hearing from our own Okeen Leon presenting on pest management solution. As you can imagine, ventures such as this are amplified through partnership and support. And we are very happy to have with us Mr. Willie Ramirez, commercial leader of our valued partner, Duwest Caribbean. The direct involvement and overall support of Duwest Caribbean is representative of the strong alignment with our partnerships in extending best-in-class products, solutions, and general product stewardship in the Jamaican market. This approach we have engaged in over 93 years in business and remain committed for the next 93 years and beyond. We thank you for joining us today and encourage you to stay with us for the rest of today's session. Let us all join forces in the continued efforts for a strengthened and effective rodent management program in Jamaica. Thank you all. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mrs. Downer Walsh. We now invite Mr. Okeen Leon, Technical Sales Representative for the Southwestern region of H&L Agro, who will now speak to us on pest management solutions.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Okeen Leon, Technical Sales Rep for the Southeast region of H&L Agro, and I will be presenting to you today on rodent management. Now, in my presentation, I'm focusing on four pillars: the rodent biology, the characteristics of the rodent, and the contamination caused by a rodent, and the rodent management solutions that we have here at H&L Agro. All right, so from our previous presentation from Miss Camilla Whitaker, she would have speak to some of the characteristics already. So rodents have poor vision. And such, they use their whiskers to help with their mobility. And they have good hearing, they have very good tactile ability. They're able to jump and climb, and they reproduce very fast. They have good memory, and they have a hard teeth. Some other characteristics of rodents. Some other characteristics of rodents are that they're very infectious. They carry very infectious diseases. They may cause asthma attacks. They do bite, and they damage food and property. They attract other pests, and they are very repulsive. All right. For a rodent to be prolific, they need three main things: food, shelter, and water. Once they have these things, they will just proliferate, they will maximize, and just become an infestation on you and your families. All right, imagine this: one rat in 1 year create 25,000 droppings, which are very infectious. Also, 6 liters of urine that are infectious also, and 300,000 hair that also can cause disease in humans. Now imagine this, just one rat, and they are so prolific, they multiply so rapidly. They have thousands of rats in a geographical area, mainly for our food industries. Now, if you have rats infesting your location, this is basically the result. Your food is going to lead to some chronic damages, hospitalization. All right. So from Mr. Vincent Wright's presentation, he was spoken to some of the diseases that are caused by rodents. So the Hunter pulmonary virus is a lethal disease that spreads through the defecation and infection from the rodents. Right? This can be spread through the contamination from the air we breathe also. The rat bite fever is a next integral one that is also spread from the rodent as a bacterial disease, and it can cause from scratches and contamination from the urine on the food itself. The Salmonella enterica, the disease is spread through to the human, but through to humans from the food that the foods, so eggs and mostly poultry, that the Salmonella can be transferred through. It causes diarrhea, vomiting, nausea, and digestive discomfort. It can lead to problems in children, and it also can lead to death or in major symptoms. Leptospirosis, this was touched on very in depth by Mr. Wright. A blood clot. Right? It can also cause meningitis and other respiratory problems. It can, if not treated, it can off the brain and also the spinal membrane, and this is caused from the transfer to from the rat lungworm. All right, so there are 2,050 species of different rodents from over 28 different families. So simple, rats are the vectors of the leptospirosis. They also carry mechanical vectors such as bacteria, other viruses, fungi, and other parasites. As touched on in the previous presentation from Ms. Whitaker, we have 3 main species here in Jamaica: the musculus, the Rattus rattus, and the Rattus norvegicus. And to the side you can see display of the 3 main types, images from them. So the Rattus norvegicus, it has small eyes, small ears. They have shorter tail than their body. They are very good swimmers, and they nest at ground level. The Rattus rattus has a longer tail than body. They are good climbers. They can be either black or gray, and they nest at the roof or the ground level. The musculus is commonly called the house rat, has big ears, they have a short range, they are very curious, and they nest anywhere. The Hoculus cirrus is the marsh rat. It's olive brown in color. It has a short tail, and they are very good swimmers. So they have the web feet that enables them to perform very good in aquatic environments. Alright, as said before, rats are prolific breeders. So a single pair of rats can come infestation very quickly. And there's an image at the side to the one-day-old mouse pups. So the reproductive cycle of the rat. The gestation period for a rat is 21 days, with an average litter size of 7, and it can up to 14. They reach sexual maturity in 5 weeks and 5 litters per year. So imagine you have one rat in January, one pregnant rat. By May, that is 40 pregnant rats. By September, that is 650 pregnant rats. By December, you have to run out to your house because that's an infestation right there, 4,500 rats. So here at H&L Agro, we have strategic partnership with our distributors, and we carry various production solutions, integrated rodent management solutions for your needs. We have the rat bait stations, we have the rat traps, we have the sticky traps, and we also have the clear rat pellets and the clear rat blocks. So since working at H&L Agro, the clear rat blocks, when a customer comes into the store, they ask you directly, I want the kill rat. To show you how prolific this product is, it kills rat on contact. So the clear rat pellets and the clear rat blocks, we do carry these. The clear rat pellets and blocks are EPA certified 60%. The recommended palatability to be passed for other grain-based coagulants is 33%. So the clear rat is very appealing to the Norwegian and the house mice. So the acceptance of the clear rat pellets and block and the efficacy shown from this graph right here, in the first week of application, 70%, you can expect a 70% kill. Second week, 90%. Third week, 100% at these rates. Now, we understand that rat poison or rat pellets are poisonous to humans. So it's good to improve the safety if you're using it in a place that is populated or where people or children are gonna be. We use a rat bait station. This will give you the protection that is needed, and the rats just go in, eat, and you get a control from that. Alright, so the active ingredient in our clear rat pellet and block is the Bifidobacterium. Bifidobacterium. Its formulation is a wax block compact extrusion. It's high weathering resistance, meaning that it doesn't dissolve rapidly in water. It contains Bitrix, and its mode of action is an inhibitor for clotting factor. If a human or a child ingests the solution for the ingestion is actually giving them vitamin K1. So Bitrix, what is it? It is a chemical that is the most bitter chemical in the world. So we add this to the clear rat, which makes it very bitter. So if a child by somehow go and bite it or ingest it thinking it's food, it will spit it out immediately because of how bitter it is. Kilogram of rodenticide. Now, in this graph showing the Syngenta rodenticide for 1 kg kill using the clear rat, you get 5,000 deaths of rats. In comparison to the other insect rodenticides, it has that level. So direction for use. This product does not cause rat bait shyness, meaning that if the rat come and bite it now, you will remember that it doesn't taste good. And the next thing about the clay rat is that once it bites it in a couple of days, gone. It's gonna die. Laying the blocks at the first site of a rodent infestation is very important. Also, the number of the baits that you put per point is very important and integral. So for a rat in field, a 20-gram block at each active burrow at 5 meters from along the runway for them. For non-field, that's in residential usage, is 20-gram block to the active burrow 5 meters away from the runway. And for the mouses, it's 20-gram blocks every 2 meters. So these are the packages that the clearer blocks and pellets would come in. And there's also the bait station showing you that you insert the blocks and the pellets into the bait station, and that provides you with the safety and security for your kill. Alright, so here at H&L Agro, we also have other nuisance pests, and we have solutions to control these. So we have the acrylic. It's highly flexible for vector control. It can be sprayed on, and it controls a wide range of insect pests. For organophosphates and pyrethroids and carbamides, these are chemicals that are used to kill, but if they are resistant to these chemicals, they actually can be used. It's a 100 to 200 ml per 2 to 2.25 liters of water. The Demand CS is a broad spectrum insecticide used for flying. So the master line. The master line is a odorless, non-irritating to the skin. It controls a wide range of insect and mites. Can be used on non-fruit bearing plants, flowers, trees, and flowers. It controls pests on the inside and also on the outside. The dosage rate for a master line is 43.5 ounces per 100 gallon. The Invit Gold, it's unique and is a food grade based application. It is using the control of roaches. So with the Invit Gold, it can kill within 20 minutes of the insect ingesting it. It also have a ripple effect. So after ingesting it from the excrement, if another roach comes in contact with the insect, it can also provide a kill. So it's a secondary kill. Here we go again. For the roaches, we have the Demand CS that can also be used. So in summary, These are the PCO chemicals that we have, and they are very prolific in the control of multiple pests. So the IMAX, it can be used in the termites. The Prelude can be is a broad spectrum. It can be used in almost all of them. The Actelic, it's also broad spectrum. It can be used to kill mosquitoes, rats, termites. And the Clear Up Black is our rodenticide. So at H&L Agro, from this presentation, we'll be having an exclusive to the end of August, a 20% discount on all of our rodent pest management insecticides, 20% off, 17% off on our professional insect pesticides, and also a 15% off on our safety gears and shoes. Thank you very much. Any questions? All right, thanks. Spread the floor. Hello.
Hello, good morning. You are hearing me? Michelle, can you confirm if you're all hearing me, please? Okay, great. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say thanks to all our presenters for providing an excellent review on the biological, behavioral, and economical impact of rodents and other nuisance pests of public health interest, and also for introducing and reminding us of the wide range of pest management solutions available at H&L Agro to support your integrated rodent management program and also your integrated pest management program.
Hi, Ms.
Thanks to
Bradshaw.
our panelists. Yes?
Can you speak a bit louder, please? We're not hearing you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I go again. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Can you
I
speak
would
a bit
like to
louder
thank
for us,
you.
please, Odine?
Yes, Michelle?
Yes. Go ahead now. Thanks.
Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to say thanks to all our presenters for providing an excellent review on the biological, behavioral, and economical impact of rodents and other nuisance pests of public health interest, and also for introducing and reminding us of the wide range of pest management solutions available here at H&L Agro to support your integrated rodent management program and our other integrated pest management program. Thanks to all our panelists. And I'd like to say special thanks to our sponsor, Duwest Caribbean, represented by Willie, the commercial lead at Duwest Caribbean, which is also the distributor supplier of the Claret rodenticide and other public health products. Also to Miss Kamala Whitaker, Public Health Inspector from Manchester Health Department, the Environmental Health Unit. And to Dr. Vincent Wright, Dean of the College of Natural and Applied Science, Allied Health and Nursing, Northern Caribbean University. And also to Mr. Okeen Leon, Technical Sales Representative of the Southeastern Region. Well done, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to extend sincere appreciations also to all of our attendees who joined this virtual webinar, streaming on all our social media platforms and also here on Zoom. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy personal and professional schedule to join and participate in this webinar. As a show of your appreciations, we will be extending to you all a special prize on the items highlighted today of up to 20% of selected items, as stated by Mr. Leon. We can all conclude that the purpose of the webinar has been completed and was accomplished. I would want to say to you all, take the time out this weekend. We have some free time, scout, look around your homes for possible sites where you'll have rodents, that rodents can breed, and also for other nuisance pests. And if there are any challenges, reach out to us here at H&L. We'll put you onto the right persons, because some of these items are restricted items, and we do know that you'd want to ensure that you protect your homes and your property, and also you will protect your person or you yourself in terms of not coming exposed to any infectious diseases. Thank you all for being here today and taking the time to patiently listen to us and to hear what we have to say. H&L Agro wish you all a blessed day and continue to remain safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bradshaw. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of today's program. We want to thank you once again for joining us. With this in mind, please remember that we have an awesome special now in stores on pest management solutions. Also, remember, COVID still a keep. And with that in mind, let's mask up, sanitize, practice social distancing, and stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah.